So basically, I'll start with a kind of common question that I get from students is how do I improve my vocabulary? So if a student asks you, they're studying English, how do I improve my vocabulary? What do you say? What kind of advice would you give usually? Um, and if you could let me know in the chat, that would be great. I don't have my contacts in right now, so I'll have to struggle to read everything. But so in my experience, what I have usually said, and let me bring my slideshow up here. Hopefully you can see that okay. Let me know if you can see that okay. If you can, just let me know in the chat if you can see the slideshow. It's probably not full screen. I'll try to make it bigger here. So it looks like that. If anything is too small, you have trouble hearing me, just let me know. And Cynthia, okay, great, thank you. And yeah, so read, right? So what I would say is things like, watch TED Talks or read more books, read a lot. Extensive reading is a popular piece of advice. Immerse yourself, be surrounded with English, be around English speakers, go to even a country to learn the language, something like that. So get immersed in it. Watch movies, set your phone to English, that kind of thing. And just talk more, so these are the types of things that I would usually tell students. Use new vocab in your speech. Yeah, that's right, Dimitri, that's perfect. So that's the type of thing that I usually tell my students. The only, and it's all good advice. It's all things that I believe in and I believe are true and are helpful. The only problem I had with that is that I felt like it was not very actionable. A student comes to me in class and says, how do I improve my vocabulary? I say, read more. And then they kind of have to go off and figure out how that works exactly, which is not necessarily a bad thing. You definitely need to have some agency to figure out what the best way for you is to learn vocabulary. But I just didn't feel like it was anything that the student couldn't really do anything after class to kind of figure out how to do it. I felt like it wasn't actionable. So that was my perspective as a teacher. As a student, learning Japanese, which I still do every day. For me, studying vocabulary can be a little boring if I'm learning it from a textbook. So that's one problem that I have as a student. Another problem that I might have is that it feels endless. Feels like there's always new words. There's always something new that I have to learn. And so it can be a little, it can be a little depressing almost because there's always new words and always things that I don't know how to say or that I don't understand, which is fine. Like there's words that I don't know, of course, as well, but it does kind of feel endless. It feels really hard to track. It's hard to know, like, when do you really know a word, or, how do you feel like what happened? Something happened. Hold on one second. Not sure what happened to my screen here. Let me try to do that again. Let's see. Let me try one more time. Okay, that should be okay now. So it feels impossible to track. It's hard to track, the words that and the words that you don't know. It's hard to keep track of all these words. And then the last problem that I have as a student is it's hard to set up a routine. It's hard to kind of figure out what I should do. And this does not want to share my screen for whatever reason. So I'm going to keep playing with this. But then the last thing is that it is hard to set up a routine. So it's hard to feel like, what I should do every day, how I should set up my study plan. So it's these problems as a teacher, feeling like my advice wasn't so great. And as a student, feeling like it's kind of hard to track. It was a little boring, that I had a hand in creating a site called Langdive. And so now I'm going to share my screen again. And I hope that it works because half this demonstration is me basically just going through the site. But let's see how it goes. So this is the site. Hopefully you can see it. And so I want to explain kind of how the site works and how it addresses some of these issues. So the This is if you don't have an account and you just first go there, this is what it looks like. And you can pretty much watch any subtitled YouTube video here. I would say about 25% of YouTube videos are subtitled in terms of their manually generated subtitles. So it does have to be those types of videos. And they play here. And so students can, the first problem is that it's kind of boring to study vocabulary. Well, students can watch content that they enjoy, and they can do it while also looking at the transcript. So you can kind of think of it as almost like an interactive book in a way, that they can see the transcript and then they can watch the videos that they enjoy at the same time. Another thing that you can do is that you can click on any of these words and you can look up the meaning. So it's all there, it's all set up in the site. So there is some text-to-speech software. Oh, there it is. And then it shows you the rank, kind of the frequency of how frequent it is. We put it in bands of 500 or 1,000 or more. I could talk about that later. But so yeah, so then they can either do two things with this word. They can do a couple things. They can just say, okay, now I know what it means. Or they can say that they know this word. And if they say that they know this word, they will start counting their words. It'll add to their word count. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. I'll log in. If they say learn word, well, okay, I have to sign in. So let me do that now. So if I sign in here, and let me just do it like this, okay. It'll bring up my current word count. So this is my word count up here. We measure word counts. You can measure your word count by taking a vocabulary size test that we have here. This is all free, by the way. There's some features that are paid. There's some features that are free, but most of this stuff is free. And the paid features, people get a 30-day trial, so they can just check it out during the trial. And my screen went blank again. Okay, there it goes. So they can take a vocabulary size test to check how many words you know. The vocabulary size test only takes about 5 minutes. And when you click on a word, and see, I know this word already because it's lower, but I can also mark this unknown. And then I could press learn word, and then it's added to my flashcard deck here. So basically the first thing is that students can watch YouTube videos on the site so they can enjoy the content. They can enjoy what they're doing. They can also track what they're doing with a word counter. They can see how many words they know, and they can also look at our word library. This is taken from a CocoLemma list of 60,000 of the most frequently used words. And let's go to the library here. So they're kind of listed out here. You can type in a word, and you can see if the frequency of it. You can check the definition, and you can also add it and see if you know it or not. So students can actually add words two ways. You can watch it in videos that you already love, or you can do it manually. If there's a word that you heard and you want to study, if I heard the word okay, house, I don't know what it means, I can look it up, and then I can add it to my flashcards. So when they actually study with their flashcards, if you decide to study with your flashcards, what you can do is that instead of I'll show you what the flashcards look like. We thought it was important for students to be able to type the words. So they're given a definition, and they have to figure out what this means. So Tim wondered why blank prices were dropping. Tim wondered why the bean of an Asian plant that contains a large amount of protein and that is used as food. Does anybody want to help me with this? If you could put in the chat what you think this is. I'm going to say it's a bean. I'm probably wrong. Let's see if anybody can. Soya. Okay, let's say soya. No, boo. What I can do is that I can. So there's a text to speech that's automatic. You can turn that off if you don't like it. And what I can do is that I can press X, tap S to see what it was. So it's soybean. Now I can cheat. I can do it undo and just say, oh yeah, I knew soybean. I knew what that was. Or you can just go to the next word. It's up to you. So we wanted to make the experience kind of user-centered and friendly. They can make spelling either 100% correct or 80% correct is considered correct or not. It's up to them. And all this stuff is set up in a SRS flashcard system. So to go back to the problems here, so hopefully it's not so boring. You know, they get to watch videos that they enjoy. They can see the word in context, and it feels endless. Yeah. So that's one other thing I just wanted to mention. You know, it's hard to know, like, there's not a lot of research into like how many words means that you are a certain level. So we have a kind of rough estimate, a kind of ballpark estimate that, you know, if you know 2,000 words, you're probably around this level. And we tell students what their TOEFL, IELTS, and TOEIC score might be based on that. And then to go to, like, let's say a student wants C2, they want the highest level. Well, you should probably know about 10,000 words, which would be this TOEFL score, this IELTS score. So if you want this TOEFL score, this is about how many words you should know. If you want this SEFR level, this is about how many words you should know. And you know, it's just an estimate. It's not exact. I mean, and as you can see, I'm not at 10,000 yet, so I still got a long way to go for a C2 level. And so, yeah, so it, you know, it's a lot of words, but hopefully it doesn't feel as endless. It feels like students have a goal. There's a certain number that they want to reach. I find that this number is very motivating, especially for me when I study kanji and I feel like I know a word. To go back to the idea, I'm going to wrap up in a minute, but to go back to the idea of how do you know if you know a word or not? When we tell students to mark a word known, if you're able to spell it and use it in a sentence, we consider that you know the word. That's just a kind of general idea, though. That's not really, you know, it's hard to tell when you know a word or not, but we say if you can use it, you can spell it, you probably know it. So that's how the site addresses some of those issues, and hopefully it doesn't feel endless. You could track your progress with flashcards, and there's a lot of statistics here as well that students can look at. They could check their flashcard statistics and see, you know, the amount of, I'm not doing so well, how many times they're correct or incorrect. And so they can track all this stuff. So yeah, that's it. I'll wrap it up there, but if you're interested in knowing more, you can email me. We have an affiliate program as well for teachers and students who spread the word about the site. But yeah, I don't want to go over time, so I'm going to just stop there.